Hi everyone, welcome to week 7. We are almost at the end of this term, so let's get going. From last week, you learned about sexual reproduction and the importance of it, and how even if you do asexual reproduction, there are ways that you get new genetic information. But the importance of sexual reproduction was, and still is, that there's a mixing up of the genes, and hopefully some of the offspring have some type of adaptation that will allow them to survive no matter what type of circumstance happens. You learn some about heredity and nature versus nurture questions, which are always very interesting, and we will have these debates for many decades to come. You learn some about biodiversity and how that is important to the health of ecosystems and important to life on the planet. So for this week, we've got ecology and ecosystems. You need to read chapters 44 and 46, which are very interesting because, most of y'all are going into environmental science, so this is the backbone of environmental science. So these are very interesting. Chapter 44 starts out with the first picture is one of a mouse and a tick and someone who has Lyme disease. And of course, I was in vector control, so I love talking about ticks and diseases and things. This was a really interesting case because there were some children up in Connecticut who were getting a type of arthritis, which of course is extremely rare in children. And the mothers of the children grouped together and went to public health officials and said something is going on in our area, something that we don't understand, but you got to figure out what it is. And when they start examining this, they realized that there was this huge cluster of children with arthritis. And come to find out, after they did all the studies, ticks were biting these kids, giving them Lyme disease, and then a sequela or a side effect of the disease is arthritis sometimes. So mothers of children actually figured out that something was going on in this case. And now, of course, everybody knows about Lyme disease. So that's at the first of chapter 44, and it's really interesting. 46 is all about different ecosystems. Read the Module 7 overview. There's a video there about eutrophication, and since quite a few of you are doing your final projects on eutrophication, the video should be interesting. I've also included one here on red tides in Florida because the red tides are going on right now in Florida. So that's something else for you to look at. We have discussion board postings this week that are optional, which is interesting, but since y'all are in environmental science, I figured that some of you would like to post something in the discussion board, and I'll be chiming in too. It's all about eutrophication, which once again, quite a few of you are doing final projects on. The phosphorus cycle, wastes and energy and nutrient flow. And then, of course, the big thing this week is getting your final projects in. I cannot emphasize to you enough to follow those guidelines. They have to be slides. This presentation has to be a set of slides. The information has to be there. It has to be labeled. Every section has to be labeled. Because if I have to guess whether this information goes into one section or another, you're really not conveying that information to me. I'm going to grade these as if this is the first time that I've seen this information. It's really important for you to go back and look at the critiques that I've done of your milestones already so that you can fix problems in them so that you can put this information into your final project. I'm also going to include a link to the guidelines and grading rubric in this announcement, not on the slide, but in this announcement, to make sure that you realize that you have to follow those guidelines. It is so important The grading rubric is the one that I use to grade this project. So if that information is not there in that section, then you don't get credit for it. So be sure and follow the guidelines. And if you have any issues or if you have any problems, please just send me an email message. I will be glad to answer your questions, help you through a section, help explain a section to you if you don't understand it. I'm here for you, so ask me questions. That's what I'm here for. And have a wonderful week. We are almost at the end of the term. You can do this. You can push through, get through, and make it through this course, and then make it through your degree. So have a good week.